Let's get the party started. We give a moment to YouTube to fire up, but hello, let me know where you're from. If you have any questions, as usual, I will be answering those as I go. This will hopefully require more participation from you all today because I'd like to help you express things that you want to say. Let's see if we're starting here. Just a moment. All right, I think we're coming up. Looks like people are able to see it, though. If you do have a comment, post below, and we should be able to get started. Okay. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide, and welcome to another live video here on YouTube. Today, as usual, we'll be talking about fluency, and specifically in this video, I want to talk about expressing yourself accurately and precisely. Accurately and precisely. I'll talk about those words in a moment, but see if anybody has any questions. George, nice to see you there. Hello. But let's get started. It should be an interesting lesson. I know lots of people ask me about this topic specifically because they usually have something they want to say but can't express it exactly the way they'd like to. But before I talk about how we do this, I wanted to talk just very quickly about precise and accurate. And of course, we get a fire hydrant, or not a fire hydrant, a fire truck, like usual, or an ambulance. But nice to see everybody out there. I want to keep this quick so that way people can get right to the lesson at the beginning of this video. And if you have questions, you can stay and ask those. All right, I'm just going to put an A here just to be faster and a P over here for precise. Now, in everyday communication, people use the terms accurate and precise, and they basically mean the same thing. But the technical meanings of these are a little bit different, and I thought it was valuable for you to understand this difference. If you think about a target, it's the best way to understand this, really. Again, in a regular conversation, when people talk about being accurate or being precise, they just mean doing something like as good as it should be done, or in the way it should be done, well, in the best way it could be done, that kind of thing, like expressing yourself, saying exactly what you want to say, or not confusing people, or not being misunderstood, that kind of thing. So that's the regular everyday meaning of accurate and precise when we're talking about using these words in the same way. But in a technical sense, accurate really means how good are you at approaching some particular goal. So let's say we have our target right here. If the goal is to hit the middle of the target, we can talk about how accurate you are by how close you get to the middle of this target. So if I shoot here, like if I'm shooting an arrow or something, I'm a little bit kind of outside away from it. I'm more accurate if I go here, and more accurate if I hit the target in the middle. But if we're talking about precision, precision really means consistency. And so let's say I shoot and I hit this spot right up here, and then I shoot another shot over here and it's down here. This is less precise because precision is really trying to hit around the same point. Now, ideally, you are accurate and precise. So you're actually hitting what you are going for, and you can consistently do that. And so that is the goal of this video, to get you speaking the way you should be speaking, I guess probably the way people want to speak, which is expressing themselves without thinking or hesitating, that kind of thing. But being able to do that consistently. So not just one time, but all the time, every time you speak. All right, so the way this video will work, I will explain very briefly about how you can express yourself and become ever better at expressing yourself and be more precise or more accurate in the way you express yourself. But I'd also like to know from you some specific situations where maybe you don't express yourself the way you'd like to speak, or you don't... let's see, you can't, it's like maybe you want to talk about something, but you don't know exactly how to say that thing. So again, if you want to express yourself better, we're going to show you how to do that. But again, I'd like to know any specific topics that can help you with that. All right, so understanding what accurate and precise mean. And you can get into even more detail about those particular things. But here's how communication works, and here's how you can actually get better at speaking. Let's say there's a topic, and we'll just do something very simple here, make sure this fits. We have a bookshelf here, just very simple idea. We'll put a ball up here, and some books over here, and maybe, I don't know, we'll just put a cat. A little cat right there. And let's put a skateboard down here, just to have some objects on this shelf. Now, I can begin by, if I want to just talk about where something is, let's say a friend of mine says, where is the ball? So the question is, where is the ball? I can begin a sentence or just make a very quick thing saying, the ball is on the shelf. Now this is correct, and it's pretty precise. I mean, the ball is on the shelf somewhere. It's pretty accurate. The ball is on the shelf. And when we're trying to express ourselves, you notice that because this is correct, the person might still need more information. Maybe they know the ball is on the shelf, but they don't know exactly where. We can add more information to get to that target. So we're still looking at this same idea where we have a target of how precise we want to express ourselves. So maybe I say the ball is on the shelf, so that's correct, but maybe I can say the ball is on the top shelf, just to make that a little bit more specific, a little bit more precise. But you'll notice about this, like, we can continue to get better and better and better. We never really reach like the absolute best way to say this. Number one, because there are always different ways to express things, and number two, because you can always get more precise. You could always add, I could make a whole paragraph. Well, you see the ball, it's on the top shelf, but it's pretty close to the cat, next to the cat, not really next to the cat, but pretty close. It's actually on the opposite side of the same shelf where the cat is sitting. So I could make a really long sentence or even a few sentences describing where this thing is. And you could get really, really precise, really, really more specific. And so the first lesson I wanted to give you is that you don't need to feel bad if you can't express exactly what you want to say, exactly how you want to say it, because there is always some better way to say it. Okay, so let's say you're here, you say something simple, the ball is on the shelf or the ball is on the top shelf, but maybe you're thinking, oh, I want to give more detail. So you don't need to feel bad about that. So many people, like, if they just, the point is really to have communication to make sure other people understand what you're talking about and to kind of get the answer or solve the problem. So my daughter is looking for a ball. I say, oh, the ball is on the shelf. And she says, where on the shelf? I say, oh, it's on the top shelf, on the left side of the bookshelf next to the cat or near the cat. And as I give more information, all of these things are correct. So the ball is on the top shelf. That's correct. The ball is, it's on the bookshelf, it's next to the cat. All of those things are correct. But you don't need to feel bad if you can't express exactly what you want to say. Because, again, number one, there are always different ways of expressing this. And number two, you can always be more precise. You can always give more information. So basically, you're just kind of deciding, well, I feel good about this level of precision or this level of accuracy, and that's okay. And usually, for everyday communication, that's fine. Okay, and that's really what we're going for when we're communicating fluently. But understanding this, you see that there are kind of levels of the levels of accuracy or how precise you want to be with your language. But the point is really to become fluent in each one of these things, and that will make you more fluent in general. Okay. So if we begin with something, just making sure you can say something simply, the ball is on the shelf. The ball is on the shelf. So this is the first level, and often people are trying to say something at a higher level of specificity or a higher level of accuracy when they still aren't using this fluently. Okay, so the point here is not just to express yourself and to get the answer, but to do it without thinking, without hesitating, without translating. And again, you do that in steps. So when you're having a conversation with someone, if you have a situation where you need to find something or you're explaining more about yourself, like people can say, oh, what do you do? I say, oh, I help people learn English. You know, that's very basic, very simple, but I can express it fluently and I can say that very easily, okay? I help people learn English. Or I could even just say, I teach English. Very simple. So even a child would be able to say that. Now, of course, I can get much more detailed, much more specific, but I'm not often where people get stuck is they're trying to express something very specific, but they don't actually feel fluent and they don't have the ability to speak fluently at this level of specificity. So what I'd like you to do is be okay and really review the different patterns that you want to say for particular things like the ball is on the shelf, or I do this job, or tomorrow I will do that. I think in my previous live video we had a bunch of different examples about that thing, about recognizing patterns. And so the goal for many people is to be able to express this level of detail fluently. Okay? Now, if that's not your goal, let me know. But most people, this is what they're going for. And this just means you really have no trouble expressing basically the fastest way or the easiest way to say, okay, the ball is on the top shelf next to the cat, okay, for this situation. And so that same idea applies to anything. If I'm talking about my job, I'm talking about what I want to do maybe on Saturday. So on Saturday, a friend of mine says, what would you like to do, or what do you want to do tomorrow? I say, I want to see a movie. Okay, so that's just a very simple. I can easily express that fluently. It's still not very precise. It's not inaccurate, but again, we have levels of accuracy or levels of exactitude, levels of precision. But this is still correct, and I can say it fluently. Now, if I don't feel very confident about saying like what kind of movie or something, or maybe we kind of break that into different parts of the conversation. So my friend says, oh, what do you want to do on Saturday? I say, I want to see a movie. And now we can get a little bit more detailed, maybe together in the conversation. So he says, what would you like to do, or what do you want to do on Saturday, or what do you want to do tomorrow? And I say, I want to watch a movie, or I want to see a movie. In this situation, you can use both of those. You're watching it, or you're also seeing the movie. We can use both of those. And so my friend says, what movie would you like to see? What movie would you like to see? So now again, we're getting more precise. And if I know exactly what I want to say, or exactly what I want to see, so if I know the specific movie, I can just say that. So I want to see whatever the name of the movie is, okay? But maybe I don't know what movie I want to see, and maybe he asks me, so what movie do you want to see, or how... I don't know, what kind of movie are you interested in? So maybe my friend also doesn't know what movies are playing, and I think now I can get more specific. I want to see an action movie, action. Or I want to see a drama, or I want to see a mystery or a horror movie, something like that. But again, we can be more precise. I can try to express all of that in one thing. So let's say I have a particular thing I want to see. I'll just give you what this English is for this example. So a friend of mine says, what do you want to do on Saturday? And I say, I'd really like to see a horror movie, but I don't know what's playing. Okay, so here I'm saying like I don't have the name of an actual movie, but I'd like to see a horror movie. Horror. A horror movie, a scary movie, but I don't know what's playing, or I don't know what's out, or I don't know what's available. Those are all different ways of expressing that. And so again, remember these two ideas about like you can always get more precise, and there are always different ways of expressing the same thing. So I don't know what movies are playing. I don't know what movies are available. I don't know what movies are out right now. So even just saying what's out right now, what's playing, okay? So I could say I want to see, or maybe I'm in the mood for something. I'm in the mood for a comedy. I'm in the mood for a comedy. But as we get more precise, it's easy to do this in a conversation going back and forth, but there's nothing wrong with starting with something basic, especially if you don't know exactly what you want to say. Okay, and natives have this same issue. So, like, I want to see a movie, but I don't know what I want to see. Or people say, "Oh, like, what should we do tonight? Should we go get dinner together?" Often people don't have a specific plan of what they'd like to do, but they begin with something very basic just to start the conversation. Okay, so what would you like for dinner tonight? I don't know. What's in the area, or what's around here? I don't want to go too far. I want to stay around my house. So what's in the area, okay? Or a friend of mine says, oh, I know a good like Chinese place, or a good Italian place, or a good Mexican place, or something like that, okay? So again, there are lots of different ways to express yourself, and it's much better if you focus on getting fluent level by level with your specificity. And we can talk more about this in this video if you have specific questions about that. I want to go back through comments and make sure, let's see, make sure I got hello, good morning, nice to see everybody there. I'm going to try to go through this quickly, see if anybody has any specific. Good morning from California. Happy Father's Day. Oh, yes, it's Father's Day in America right now. So we had this, Japan celebrates that as well. So yes, to all the fathers out there. Oh, C says Ohio, and Keiko says hello. Let's see. Burjesh says good morning. Hack Wizards, how to introduce yourself for an interview. Well, typically if you're talking about like a job interview, so something like that, like you want to think about how you can connect who you are or your skills or what you do with the like the particular job you're looking for. So let's say I'm trying to get a job, I don't know, selling shoes or something, just as a random job interview. So if the person is asking me like, you know, tell me about yourself, if they give me some kind of general like, tell me about yourself, I could just say, well, specifically, and I might even start with that, specifically about shoes. Like I love shoes and I love collecting shoes and, you know, like that thing. And I've studied shoes and studied shoe brands. And so I can give specific information. The more information I know about the particular job, the better I can explain what that would be. So it's rather than just like, what is a job interview? It's more, what is a specific job you might be trying to get? So let's say if you're trying to get a customer service job, for example, so maybe you do like work at a call center, something, just say, if they just say, and it'd be, I don't know, it'd be kind of weird. I mean, maybe people still ask, like, tell me about yourself or something like that. But like typically people that the reason they would ask you that is just because they want to see how you speak, rather than like knowing your particular qualifications for a particular job. But again, if you give me more, yeah, so it's like, Drew, please tell me about yourself. So if you get that, Drew, please tell me about yourself, I would say, oh, what would you like to know? Like, what specifically would you like to know? But in that case, if it's a job interview and they say, oh, please tell me about yourself, I would say, well, I'm here because I like really enjoy this kind of work and I've been doing it and I know a lot about your company and I think I could really help you. And so it looks like maybe, and I could get more specific about this. I could say, well, I've been doing some research and I found actually you have a couple of different issues that I could really help you with your company. And so I'm looking for how I can help them in the job interview. And so like that's a good way to show that you can speak, but also that you're doing something about that particular company, okay? Now, it just depends on the kind of work you're doing. So at a higher level job or a more difficult job, usually a better paying job, they will care about that kind of information. And they will appreciate if you go there with like, you have already done some research. So like if I want to, like, you're basically selling yourself at that point. And if they just say, oh, why do you want to work here? You just say, oh, well, I noticed you have this problem and I like solving that kind of problem. And actually, that's what I do for language teaching. Like, I enjoy solving the problem of how to help people understand languages, and that's why I do what I do. Okay, so as an example. But again, without more specific information about a particular job, most people I would recommend, even if you are, even if you're trying to get a low level, like an entry position, I would learn more about the company or try to find out why they're solving that problem. So if you, like, let's say, like, especially low-level positions, I know I'm spending a lot of time on this because I know a lot of people are, they look for work or whatever. They're trying to get better jobs. And even people who are higher or, whatever in their position are trying to get promoted or something. But typically the way you're going to do that is to find a way to solve a problem for the company. And even at a low-level position, often their problem is just finding good people who are dependable. So, like, you could have your very first job as a teenager and people are saying, well, I'd like to work for your company. Like, I've been working very hard. I get up every day, I get my homework done, and I am on like 2 sporting clubs or something, and I also am like the leader of those things. And I'd really like to learn more about management, and I think I can help your company as well. So whatever those things are, the point is actually to look at the other person, or in that case, the company, and think about what their needs are. So, like, and this is another thing that also improves fluency, is the more you know about the particular thing, the better you can speak about it, okay? So right now I can speak well about this topic of learning because I know a lot about it. But if if you ask me to teach about how to, design a car engine, I don't know anything about that, so I can't speak about that, okay? That's not my level of fluency, but it's not like connected to that. It's just I don't have the information. And as I always say, you should be spending more of your time learning and getting lots of input rather than trying to spend your time speaking about things. But you will feel much more confident if you follow this very simple structure. Feel confident and feel fluent, communicate the way you want to, even at a basic level, without making mistakes. So you want to be accurate, you want to be precise, and then try to add a few more things into your sentences. So in this example here, the ball is on the shelf. The ball is on the shelf. Or I could say the ball is on the top shelf next to the cat. Okay? The ball is above the books. Or the ball is on the 3rd shelf from the bottom. I could even say it that way. Oh my goodness, just threw my marker over there. So the ball is on the 3rd shelf from the bottom. The ball is on the 3rd shelf from the bottom. All right. Look at that. All right. Pretty easy. So again, when I get questions from people, the more specific you are, the more specific I can be. All right. So whenever you're in a job interview, just keep those things in mind. I would spend more time, and most people will not take the time to do that. So spend your time doing that. I would spend your time getting more information. All right. Let's see. Good morning, teacher. I got that one already. Let's see here. All right. Anna says, hi, hello from Taurid. Frederick, so amazing. Glad to hear it. What do you like about it? Let us know what you like about the app. And for anyone else who would like to improve their pronunciation, their grammar, understanding like these kinds of things, and even getting more specific, you can click on the link in the description below this video to learn more about Frederick. Bridget says, hi, Teacher Drew. Happy Father's Day. Does some people born with a knack for learning languages? No. If only some people could learn languages, then not everyone would be a speaker. But everyone is a speaker of their native language. And the only people who do not speak their native language are people who maybe they have no mouth, or they have like a physical disability of some kind, or some other problem that stops them from speaking. But almost everyone learns to speak their native language. The only difference is, the thing that makes it difficult for people to learn languages is how you learn. Okay? So if you try to learn English or whatever language, if you try to learn that language through translations or by studying rules, it's going to make it more difficult for you to communicate, because you'll be thinking about rules when you try to speak. So you'll think, is that word correct? There's like a little voice in your head that wonders, like, am I saying this correctly? Oh no, am I going to make a mistake and say something embarrassing? So you will think about that as you speak. And so when when people are trying to learn a language, just learn the language in the language that you're learning. The best way to say it is like how you learn is how you speak. That's why I teach English in English. Even for beginners of the language, it doesn't matter how old they are, I teach English all in English. All right, so you should be thinking about the same kind of thing, and there isn't any it's not like I have a natural language gift or whatever, and I realize that. So I spent 15 years myself struggling to learn different languages, and then I failed to learn all of them. But once I started learning, and the final language was Japanese, and so once I started learning Japanese in Japanese, I became a fluent speaker of Japanese. Now again, it's the same thing I mentioned before, like I don't know, I wouldn't be able to tell you in Japanese how to build a car engine, just like I can't do that in English. Like I just don't know that vocabulary. But I can express myself well and even go into deeper levels of specificity for whatever is appropriate for that. But I did that because I got fluent and I felt confident about like the ball is on the shelf. I can say that. The ball is on the bookshelf, or the ball is on the top shelf. Okay? Can you feel confident saying that? If you have basic errors in this grammar, then don't try to say something more specific, because it's just going to cause you more frustration, more worry. Get lots of basic examples of how to express something. Okay? So this is how you don't start speaking another language with great precision and accuracy. That just doesn't happen. And again, it's because you just don't know that vocabulary and you haven't reviewed that enough. But you don't have to spend a lot of time speaking with people to develop this ability. You just need to get lots of examples for that. So especially watching kids shows when they're talking about things, like if you think about this as kids and middle schoolers and high schoolers and college educated, maybe graduate students or something, and you can see different levels of specificity about how we explain something. So I can take something, this is a black marker. Can you say that confidently and fluently? I know it's a basic sentence, but how do you feel about that? Can you say this confidently and fluently? This is a black marker. Is this a black marker? Yes, it is. Now, I could get into more detail about that. This is a black marker from my friend. So I got this black marker from my friend. I could get more specific about what the marker is or where it came from. This marker is a little bit old. This marker is a little bit old. Okay? So hopefully this makes sense. A lot of people are trying to do this before they do this. But if you think about making a building, you don't start with the top floor, you start with the bottom floor and build it up like that. So I promise you, if you feel confident here and you don't make mistakes here, then try to add more to the sentence. That's how you do it. So this is just like, doing exercising. You want to stretch yourself and try to add a little bit more. The ball is on the top shelf next to the cat. The ball is on the top shelf next to the cat. Or I could say, oh, you see that shelf over there with the skateboard on it? The ball is above the skateboard. Okay, the ball is above the skateboard on the top shelf. So I can always express things in different ways or be more specific, but I do that at the level where I feel comfortable. If I can't say something accurately, so if I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, I better just try to say what I can, and then as I feel more confident, you start expanding into greater detail or more specificity. So if you have more examples of that, let me know and I will go into them in this video. All right, let's see. I think, did I skip one here? So like Bridget's question here. So hi, Teacher Drew. Happy Father's Day. Does some people born with a knack for learning languages? So like if this is a good example of like a higher level sentence that has basic errors in it. And I don't want to call anybody out, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, but these are all examples we can all learn from. So the correct way to say this would be Happy Father's Day, and then you have a period there, and then do some people have, or you could say are, some people born with a knack for language learning or learning languages, okay? So again, that's an example of knowing a lot of advanced vocabulary, especially that's a great phrase like to have a knack for doing something. It just means you have like a natural talent for that thing. But again, if the basic grammar, so the grammar is what is like the glue that holds that together. So if you're not using that correctly, like do you have something? Or does he? Or does anyone? Or do we? If you can use do and a subject in a fluent and confident way, then you can start using more difficult language. But I would just make a much more simple sentence like, can anybody learn a language? Or can anyone learn a second language? Okay? And so that's the most basic way you would express something like that. And the goal is to develop fluency in basic things. And you'll see this is a pattern in every video I have, where I find people that know a lot of advanced vocabulary, but the glue is very weak holding those things together. And that's why often people, they know a lot, but they still don't feel confident expressing themselves because they really didn't take the time yet to get fluent in that particular thing. So I don't want to make anyone feel bad, but again, these are all good examples to help people understand the language, whatever language you're learning, okay? But it's important to remember that no, there is no special knack for language learning, and it's a skill like anything else, and everybody learns to speak their native language. And if more people learned English as a first language, more people would speak English as a first language. But most people learn English as a second language, okay? All right, let's see here. Going through some good questions though. But again, if you have specific questions about situations, you can get these examples from these videos or even right here how I'm speaking. But again, you can let me know if you have anything in particular you'd like to know more about. All right, let's see. Joe Spice says, I find it easy to express myself when I'm alone, maybe at the front of a mirror, but when it comes to me meeting someone, I don't find the right words to capture what I want to say. Why? So this is another question we get commonly in these videos. Like almost every video is like, why can I understand you but not understand other people? Why can I speak well by myself but I can't speak well with other people? And the reason is the same. It's you don't know the language well enough. That's basically it. But what I'm recommending in this video specifically is you kind of learn the patterns of language in pieces. So try not to think about getting fluent in English. Try to think about getting fluent in particular patterns of the language. Like the ball is on the shelf. Very simple, all right? So you could describe 100 things in a room like the ball is on the shelf, I am on the floor, he is in the room, she is on the table, okay? So anything like that, you can make lots of different sentences just to get very used to that, or you can get lots of different examples of people talking about that. You can find this on YouTube very easily, or ask ChatGPT to give you examples of that. But as you understand the pattern better, then you can move on to something else. Now, usually what happens, like when I read sentences like that, so there's a lot of good English, there's good structure there, but again, we've got basic errors in the sentence. Okay, so as an example, so maybe at the front of a mirror, we say in front of a mirror. So if you're standing like, here's the mirror, like, and there's a space in front of it, we're standing in front of a mirror. But we can also say I'm standing at a mirror. Okay, so if I'm standing here, and I've done videos about these prepositions before, but the basic idea is it's two different ways of expressing the same thing, but you're combining them. Okay, so I am right now like I'm standing at a whiteboard. Okay, so I'm not standing on the whiteboard, I'm standing at the whiteboard. I'm in this particular location. Okay, but I'm also in front of the whiteboard. Okay, so if I'm standing at a mirror or I'm standing in front of a mirror, you can say both of those things. And so typically I'm highlighting these errors, again, not to make anyone feel bad, but just to give you lots of good examples of what is the correct thing to say. And again, the deeper idea here is if you know a lot of English, you will feel comfortable talking with yourself because you don't notice those mistakes, or you're not worried about those mistakes. But when you get in front of other people, that's where the worrying comes from. So you think, oh, like, am I making mistakes? Am I really that confident about what I want to say? And I'm always recommending you become confident first before you speak by getting lots of examples. So I don't need to spend a lot of time speaking English in front of other people, again, in front of other people. I just need to get lots of examples until I feel confident that I know the language really well for this, all right? And I want to make it clear to people that like this is not about just improving English through listening. The point is to understand the language better. And that will come from listening or from reading something or watching things. The point is to understand it. So if I touch this marker, like I learn the difference between smooth and rough. Okay, so this marker is smooth right here, but this is rough. You can actually kind of hear the difference here, but you can't really hear anything when I put my finger along the edge of this, because this is smooth and this is rough. So rather than me telling you what smooth or rough mean, or giving you a definition or a translation, if you just experience that by feeling these things, you will learn the language very quickly. All right. But the whole point is that you are understanding the language like a native. That's why I talk about like learning English like a native or understanding English as a first language rather than trying to think about it through translations or learning through your native language, which is learning English as a second language. All right. Hopefully this makes sense. Are these explanations making sense to people? I want you to feel confident in steps. So when people say, oh, I feel bad, I'm not fluent in English, the truth is there probably are things that you are fluent in already. But you're probably not learning systematically to build up your ability to speak about more things or in a more detailed way. All right? So if I can describe this, here is a shelf. All right? There is a ball on the shelf. There is a ball on the top shelf of the shelf. Okay? So I can get more specific if I feel confident about that. But if a friend just says, hey, where is the ball? I say, oh, it's on the shelf. On the shelf. Very simple. I want to feel confident for my level. And if I don't feel confident, I should get more examples, more review, rather than trying to move faster. And that's where you have problems. That's where we get all of these people that have these same questions again and again that say, oh, why do I understand you, but I can't speak? The reason is I'm speaking more slowly, more clearly. It's easy to understand me. I'm intentionally being understandable so you can learn something. But that's kind of the first step of listening practice over here. The next step, we want you to hear different examples from other native speakers using this same vocabulary, okay? So this process actually taking you to higher levels of fluency, it just means you're really able to communicate fluently about more detailed things, and you're able to understand things better, so you communicate without thinking, all right? This is what we do in Fluent for Life, all right? So in these YouTube videos, it's easy for me. I'm just one person giving you one example, and it's not really the way natives would speak. A lot of the vocabulary is the same, but I'm speaking clearly, again, trying to make sure everybody understands what I'm saying. But hopefully the point is clear here. If you know a lot of English, but you're still not feeling very confident about it, don't learn more English. Get more examples of the kinds of things you want to say. Feel confident about that, and then try adding additional things into that sentence. The ball is on the shelf. The ball is on the shelf next to the cat. Okay, very easy. I'm just adding just a little bit more, one or two extra words into the sentence just to stretch my ability to speak, just to get a little bit more specific. Okay, I just wanted to give a physical example of this, but I can do this with anything. Okay, it's pretty easy to do. All right, so I could talk about my life, like where do you live or whatever. I could say, oh, I live in Chicago, okay? Or I could say, I live in Chicago on the lake. Same idea, just like, oh, it's next to the cat over here. Or I have been living in Chicago for 20 years. So I can give more information, more details about something if I feel confident about doing that. All right, let me read this as another ambulance goes by. All right, special ambulance over here. All right, let's see. Pene says, can you create a video about working in a nursing home, how to communicate to a patient? I'm sure those videos are already made. Just look on YouTube for taking care of nursing home patient. The key is not to look for like the English lesson about that. It's what do native people actually do? And I guarantee you, if you search YouTube for taking care of nursing home patient, you will find videos about that. You will find videos about taking care of pet rabbits, or taking care of, I don't know, babies, or taking care of whatever. Like anything you would want to learn about, you can learn about that on YouTube. The content is already there, all right? You just need to, instead of thinking about it like a language student, you need to think about it like a native. Learn English as a first language, not through like an additional language or whatever you would use for, like the typical way of learning. So we want to see lots of examples of people doing that. So I would watch 10 videos about whatever that topic is, and I guarantee you will find more information, you will feel more confident, you will feel more fluent, and it's just because you know the language better. So if you see 10 different people, like the nurse or somebody comes into the room and says, how are we feeling today? Or how are you feeling today? So how are we feeling? Often you will have that as like, it's just talking about like trying to connect the patient with the person speaking. So how are we feeling today? How are we feeling today? And when you see those examples of things, it's like, oh, this is very easy. Like, how are we feeling today? And you see lots of those examples, and you will feel more confident. You will know to say that same thing when you get into that situation. All right? So natives are just doing that. They're not studying grammar. They're learning patterns for situations. All right, it's basically the same thing, but if you think about it differently, it will change the way you learn languages and help you speak much better, much faster. All right, and the same thing about like call center videos or any other particular thing you might be interested in. So what we do in Fluent for Life is actually show you how to have conversations about different things. That's the whole point of it. So it's like you could be learning about science or technology or computers or like even home care or whatever the thing is, but it's a different kind of video than like here is a step-by-step process for like building something, or here's how to make fries at McDonald's or something like that. So if you want specific like step-by-step things, just go to YouTube and get that, and so you can find any kind of information about whatever your topic is. Let's see. George says, I came because you hire. What? Hire. Tell me about yourself. Well, I am someone who needs money, and I know an employee. Yes, if you tell people, going back to the job interview question, if you tell people I'm here because I need money, that's the last thing they want to hear. They don't care. I mean, it's nice if you need money, obviously, but if you speak to the person you're helping, the chances that you will get the job are much higher. Even if you have less skill or lower ability, then people will be more likely to hire you about your attitude, and you really have a good sense for knowing how to solve problems. Let's see. Thank you, Drew. Next Wednesday I have a job interview, and that information is useful. Yes. So if you have a job interview coming up, spend the time learning about the company. And I promise you, if you learn about the company, you will also learn the vocabulary. Or you do learn, like, why are they looking for this job? If you really read the job interview, whatever that information is, the job description, it will tell you a lot of information about what their problems are, and especially like low-level jobs, as I mentioned. If you have trouble finding good people, then that's something you can talk about. So even whatever that low position is, you could just be starting out in your first job, and often people in those positions, they don't stay in the job very long. So I can say that in a job interview and just say, hey, I know you probably get many people who come, maybe you hire people, but they don't stay very long because the job is difficult or something. So I know the job is maybe difficult, but I'm excited about that. I understand what like the things about the job or whatever, and I can go into more detail about that. So again, explaining more specifically how you can help them, that's going to get you a job. All right, I'm going to try to do, let's see,
Eid. Yes, people are, I guess that's a holiday. I don't know much about that, but your words are easy to understand. So you would say your words are easy to understand, not easy to understanding. All right, Bizel says, you are the best teacher. I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure lots of people can find good teachers out there, but the point is really just to understand the language better. And if you understand the language better, glad to hear it. Looks like we've got ego and then sensei, but I think maybe that's Chinese. I don't know if you're saying that. I can't. Man, it's so tiny. Let's see. But I don't know if those characters are also in Chinese as well. Maybe they are. Angelo says, hi. Manuel says, how can I get more or info about your classes? If you click on the link in the description below this video, you can learn more about Fluent for Life. That's the main program we have where, like I'm explaining here, we take you step by step. We get you fluent automatically by helping you understand the language really well. The main reason people have trouble communicating is because they have doubts about grammar or pronunciation or whatever. And so if you erase those doubts, especially at, like each level of your ability to communicate, then you will become a much more confident speaker much faster. So erase the doubt. When the doubt is not there, you speak fluently. And so that's what we do. So if you'd like to learn more, just click on the link in the description below this video. Let's see. Okay, and parts of speech, inflection, syntax. Yes, like if you're asking questions about that specifically, I would just say you learn all of that naturally. Like right now, you're learning syntax and pronunciation and all of that just by listening to me. And so I try not to separate that like grammar, because you learn grammar with pronunciation and vocabulary, and it's all connected if you learn it like a native does. So I learn the vocabulary, I learn how to say the vocabulary, how to use the vocabulary, how to pronounce it correctly. All of that comes naturally and very quickly if you understand English as a first language. Samina says, hi teacher, Vina Del Mar from Chile, nice to see you there. Let's see. Hello, teacher. Ribeiro. I can't. Ribeiro. That's an interesting name. Thank you for your awesome class. Let me ask, what country if you say, what country am I in? Or where am I? I'm in Japan right now. Babar says, I am getting improve my English through listening to your lecture. So here again, I would correct that. I am improving, or you could say I'm getting improvement. So if you're getting something, that becomes like the noun there. I'm getting improvement, or I'm improving my English through listening or by listening to your lectures. Louis says, I feel uncomfortable talking to people in English, but last week I talked to Chatbot and we had a good conversation. Me and I didn't feel the pressure to speak right or faster. Yes, so that's you can make that step from talking to a computer who's not going to judge you unless you ask them to speaking with natives by understanding the language better. So looking at your English, I would say practice the basics more. So like I'm telling most people, you know a lot, you can understand what I'm saying, and you will feel more confident speaking with a computer because the computer doesn't really care if you make a mistake, or maybe you don't care if the computer knows that. But if you feel more confident, then you can go to the actual level of having communication with real humans. So that's basically the goal. So use ChatGPT or whatever to get lots of review so that you feel confident, and then use that to practice with natives, okay, to actually speak. All right, let's see. I can't read the Cyrillic there, but oh my God, let's see. I watch your videos every single day, and it's my first live time. By the way, I'm from Ukraine, Kiev, and my name is Stefan. Welcome to the party, Stefan. Nice to see you here. Yes, I know we usually have lives around this time. So again, watch your basic English. So I watch your videos every single day, or I am watching your videos every single day. So be careful, watch your basics, make sure you can use those confidently, and I promise you, if you can use the first step confidently, then you can expand very quickly. But if you just continue to try to learn more, this is like a tricky thing. I'm going to try to describe this problem I need a new like visual example for people to explain this. So often we'll just put a V here for vocabulary and a G here for grammar. And people like learning lots of vocabulary. They're always interested in learning more words. I want to know more and more and more. And usually their ability to understand and know vocabulary is like at this level, but the grammar is down here. And so like there is a big disconnect between your ability to speak, because you have this basic issue right here, where you know a lot of words, but your ability to use that vocabulary fluently to connect all of these things well, that's what you struggle with. So instead of learning more words, improve the grammar, okay? Spend more time getting more examples with these things to make sure you really understand them, and that way you get these two things together the same way a native has them, and then you can speak about whatever you want, okay? So you can finally use all of this vocabulary and use it confidently and fluently without worrying about making basic mistakes, okay? So stop learning more vocabulary, review the vocabulary you already know, and you will feel more confident speaking. This is why I always tell people you can become a better speaker without learning more words if you just, again, like focus on improving with what you already have, all right? It's like you already have a girlfriend, you know, like stay with the girlfriend you have. Don't go looking for more women, you know, when I explain it to people like that. Focus on what you have and enjoy that, improve that, and you will become a more confident speaker. All right, let's see. I'm going to try to go through this quicker, see if anyone has any specific questions about this topic here, but hopefully you're getting some examples of that naturally through the way I speak. All right, get your live. See, it says, help my best teacher, Drew. Some people say English is difficult language when they compare it with other languages. Do you believe that? If you believe, why? Thanks. This is Said. No, I don't believe English is like more difficult than any other language. And if English were more difficult, like if that were true, then English speakers wouldn't become good speakers until they're 20 years old, but a Chinese speaker becomes fluent at 2 or 3 or whatever. All right. So the differences do come from learning things like the written language. So in Japanese, we have 4 different written languages if you include English writing as well. So the alphabet is also used in Japanese. But if you're talking about like trying to learn all of those characters, it just takes more time to do that. But there's no real difference between the spoken language. So a young child growing up, you could take a child and put them in any country and they would learn that language at about the same rate, all right? So it's maybe like a professional who focuses on like linguists and maybe for different, like comparing different languages or whatever, they could probably tell me that, like, oh, actually Bulgarian is really hard and those kids, they don't actually become able to speak until they're 10 years old. I've never heard of that, so if someone can correct me, that's fine, but I would imagine that that isn't the case. And so the problem is not the language itself. So here's English, and here's Japanese, and here's Chinese, and here's Spanish, or whatever the language is. But like, if the tricky thing becomes going from English to Chinese, or from Japanese to English. All right, that's where like the difficulty comes from. Because if these two languages are quite different, like English and Chinese are very different from each other. I mean, the written language is different, the way you speak is different. And again, like I don't want to go into details about all of that, but the basic idea here is if you're going from one language into another, it's more difficult than just learning that thing directly. So if I'm trying to learn Chinese, I'm not going to use English to learn Chinese. I'm just going to learn Chinese itself. I'll just go right into Chinese and learn Chinese as a first language. All right? So if a Chinese child can do it, I can do that too. All right? There's nothing special about like a child having a knack for language learning. The only difference is like they just learn it as a first language rather than learning it as a second language. Now, people might argue with me and say, well, you know, we already have words in our native language for whatever, and so it's more difficult to learn a second language. But I would say, well, we already have multiple words for the same thing in our native language, and we also speak different ways within our language. So I can speak professional English, I can speak more casual English, I can say things with slang, I can talk one way with my wife, one way with my children, one way with my friends, one way with my boss. These are all different languages within this same language. So you already speak multiple first languages and you already learn them that way. So there's nothing different. It's a psychological difference that changes in the way you learn a different language. So rather than trying to learn Chinese through English or English through Japanese or whatever your language is, just go directly into the language. Get examples of that thing directly. So if I'm trying to learn Spanish, I want to get Spanish examples in Spanish, and that's going to help me understand the language. So there's nobody born that I know of. Maybe there are, like, I don't know, I don't know, like, personally a lot of polyglots. Maybe they are fantastic at learning languages and that's their skill somehow. I don't know. Or it's just what they spend their time doing. You know, it's probably the second option rather than the first. But, you know, there are lots of reasons people might do that. So some people have to do that. Like in the United States, there's less pressure to learn other languages because of, you know, America being dominant economically. But as that changes, or we have different situations where, like if you live in Europe, where you have a lot of different countries together and they have different languages, or you have people moving from place to place, then you're going to have a lot more demand for knowing different languages. And so that will force people to learn different languages. So anyway, I don't like a special like thing about, I don't know, like any language in particular that makes it more difficult or easier to learn. It's just, how are you learning that? And nobody really talks about learning a language in that language itself. All right. Let's see. All right. I think I'm spending too much time on these on these questions here. Teacher, it's like Christmas. What kind of prepositions are added to holidays? What do you mean, prepositions? Oh, you just say on, like if you're talking about something happening on a particular day, just say like it's on whatever. Tom, nice to see you there. Let's see. Liseth says, I would like to have a friend who want to practice English with me. Okay, before you look for anyone to practice with, just get these examples yourself. You don't need someone else to tell you like, okay, if that English is incorrect, spend more time getting more examples of correct English. So you would say, I would like to have a friend who wants to practice English with me. So it's almost correct. It's like you're using a bit more of a detailed, more specific wording or more precise wording, but it's still incorrect. And so if you want to be accurate and precise, you want to be accurate and also to be able to express more kind of fine details of things, focus on the basics, make sure you can say them correctly, and that's going to help you feel much more confident. So you don't need to look for somebody else. You have everything you need. There's plenty of content already available. You don't need anything new. And it's going to get you fluent much faster. Isn't that exciting? I always repeat this, but it should be exciting to think, oh, I don't need to find someone else to practice in order to improve my English. I just need to get more specific, systematic examples of the language that I'm trying to understand. And if I can do that, then I will feel more confident. And when I do have someone to speak with, I will speak better. All right, let's see. Hello, guys. Drew, what is your favorite T-shirt? I don't know. My favorite T-shirt is whatever is sitting on the top of my dresser. All right, that's my favorite shirt for the day. So I kind of get like my shirts, like I get them washed and then they go back into the dresser and then I just take whatever's on the top. There you go. Also, I look at whenever I'm doing a live video, I look at the other, like the recent lives and try not to wear the same shirt. So I'll do that. Like if I look at, I don't remember what shirt I was wearing. I think I had a blue shirt on in my last live video. So, okay, today I can't wear blue, but maybe I should wear, I don't know. I don't have like a specific shirt, but anyway, whatever is fine. I don't care. I don't think much about it. See, says, I thought Japanese citizens are so healthy, but an ambulance often crossing your place, Mr. Drew. Well, Japanese people are healthy, but they're also old. You know, so there are lots of old people, especially where I am in Nagasaki, lots of old people over here. All right, let's see. Prasanna says, hi, good morning, Drew. I'm very happy to see you early in the morning. I respect you. Here you would just say, I respect you. You have changed my life. You are the best teacher. Malawara. Malawaraja. Oh, that's your last name. Okay, I'm guessing. From Sri Lanka. Let's see. Yes. Okay. I don't know. I don't know where Tom is from. I don't think he's from Taiwan though, or I don't think he's Japanese either. He's just using. I think he's just learning Japanese also. If you're talking about Tom. Yes, please click the like button. It's always good to click the like button. Yes, we want to tell YouTube more. And also you can just take the link from this video and share it on social media, wherever you like to share it, or send it by email to friends or anybody who's trying to learn, especially if they've been learning English for a long time. They know a lot of English, but they still struggle to speak. So he says, how old are you, Mr. Andrew? I am, how old am I? 43. 43. I'll be 44 this year. Etiab says, I like the way you talk. Glad to hear it. I'm afraid of misusing vocabularies in professional setting. As native speaker can tolerate a condition of misused vocabs by non-natives. It depends. So there are a lot of basic errors in what you wrote. And yes, more times, especially in a professional setting, people will care about you speaking correctly. So what's happening is people get an impression of you by how you speak. So if I speak badly, or if I have a lot of errors, or if I curse a lot, if I'm like, fuck, shit, damn, I just like say a lot of like that actually tells people who I am as a person. And if I'm trying to show people that I can communicate well, that's probably going to show them that I can also do other things well. So if I explain things easily, I can help people understand things, and they will think, oh, maybe he can also do other things well. But if I am a bad speaker, you can't hear me very clearly, then you probably wouldn't think I can do other things well. All right, so it's the same kind of thing. So yes, like in a casual conversation, natives will usually, not everybody, but usually people will be a bit more friendly and they will try to help you, or they will be more patient with your errors. But if it's a professional situation, then I would spend more time learning the basics so that you can really feel confident with your speaking. So I would rather have, like as a boss in a company, I would rather have someone who speaks well, even if their language is not very advanced. So I want them to be correct and be precise. That's more important to me because I can say, oh, like the ball is on the shelf. I would rather hear that than a longer, more detailed sentence that's incorrect. Okay? So that means, and especially if you're writing to people, then your written vocabulary becomes even more important. So especially as a professional, and this is what we do again in Fluent for Life. We basically take people, especially professionals. We have a lot of doctors, lawyers, like people in international airfare or international companies that need to speak, and it's important for them to speak, and often they can improve their income greatly just by speaking a little bit better. And so it's like a very easy proposition for them to join us. Ingrid says, hi, Drew. Nice class. Your videos are very useful to me. I am improving my English because I work with American people and we have a meeting every day. Thank you. Very good. So that was excellent, really good English. The only thing you missed is we have a meeting every day, or we have meetings every day, but very good. So being around those natives, even if you're not speaking with them, listen carefully, get their examples, learn their patterns, and you will use them too. Ademilson L de Chicago. Hi, I'm from Colombia, says listen. Okay. Welcome. Let's see, do you have a WhatsApp group? No, I don't, but maybe you guys can create that if you want to. All right, let's see here. Tom, Tom, you should put your Japanese, like write it in English so people can read what that is. Because you often just have some random Japanese characters in there that people don't know what they mean. Billow says, hi, teacher, can you explain to me future time clauses? We're not going to focus on that in this video, but if you cover, let's see. I cover that in probably some other videos on YouTube where I'm talking about describing things that happen in the future. But I will kind of give an example of that. So let's say I want to talk about something in the future, like something will happen tomorrow. if you're just describing it very simply and making sure you understand that grammar and you can use that grammar well. So a friend says, what will you do tomorrow? So what will you do, or what are you going to do tomorrow? Tomorrow I will do whatever. I will go to work, or I will go play basketball, or I will go to a park. Okay? So there are lots of examples already of how the grammar works. What you need to do is just get more of them and really focus on understanding that rule or that pattern, and then you can start using it fluently. So again, like people ask me about like what is a specific rule, or can I teach them a tense or something like that, but those examples are already available. All right, just get more of those. You can find those on, again, ChatGPT right here on YouTube, same thing. Let's see, Luciano says, 10 years ago, I took a internship, you would say an internship in India with very poor English, or you would just say with very poor English, just by following Drew's English tips. Since then, I've been following the same path, and my English is better than ever. Thanks, Drew. Glad to hear it. Yes, so very good, Luciano. So you can see like you're using a lot of advanced vocabulary. You're being more precise with your language, but you still have some inaccurate English in there. So I would spend more time focusing on the basics, learning how to tie those things together, and that's going to help you speak much more confidently. All right, Sardos says, hello, Drew. I've been watching your videos since 2018. I have noticed that I have improved my speaking. Glad to hear it. I want to say thank you for helping many people who are struggling to speak. Yep, it's my pleasure. So I know what it's like to struggle to speak, and that's why I do what I do. All right, Mom says, I quit learning English for a while. I want to get back to this habit again, like going back to the gym. Same thing. Yes, spend more time learning the basics. I promise you, get lots of good examples. Keiko says, always a great example. Yep, Keiko, only the pronunciation are different. I see. Gotcha. All right, I'm in my last year nursing graduation. I want to travel abroad. So you would just say travel abroad. We don't say travel to abroad. We just say travel abroad in the next 3 years. What you see I should do? I would focus more on mastering the basics. Master those basics. I promise you. You don't become more fluent by learning more words. All right, you become fluent by really getting fluent in the particular vocabulary you have, and then you can start learning more. Let's see, it's much easier for Brazilians learning English than Japanese learning English because the vocabulary is pretty similar. Yes, so you will have things like that, but like, you know, it's again, you're trading. If you're trying to think about like learning Portuguese through English or Portuguese or English through Portuguese, I would, if I had to choose one, if I had a native, like a Japanese speaker, and I was teaching them English in English versus someone learning English through Portuguese, like it would be an interesting test to see if I could get them fluent faster. I bet I could. But again, yes. When you're talking about what languages are easier to learn, it's always like coming from a language you already know, not about the language like inherently being easy or difficult. All right, let's see. I think you guys are talking with each other. Let's see. You are the best teacher in the world. Well, I don't know about that, but yes. So Bridget, yeah. So when you hear me like using swear words or cursing or whatever, like if that doesn't help me make a point, then I'm not going to use that vocabulary. It's just not necessary to use it. I could, master the fucking basics. Okay, you want me to get angry over here? Like that's when you would see me cursing. Okay, if I were, in like a class with some people and they're like, Drew, teach me more advanced English or whatever. I'm just like, okay, fine. If you want to learn, if you want to learn something, it's okay. And this is part of the kind of tricky thing about like teaching and business as well. So in business, you want to deliver what people want. And so I have to be tricky about how I help people like get what they want, but also give them what they need in order to get the actual thing they want, which is communication and being able to speak confidently. But again, like sometimes if I have to be a hard ass about it, like I have to yell or whatever, I try not to do that because it means I'm not doing a very good job of teaching. So if I have to yell at you, I'm actually not making the lesson like entertaining enough or not enjoyable enough that you're not figuring it out. But again, this is what we do in Fluent for Life. I take you step by step through those different examples. All right, so we really want to make sure you understand the language really master it, and then you will become a much more confident speaker. I promise you, whether you learn with me or not, whether you learn with me or not. Master the fucking basics. Really understand what you're saying, feel confident about it, and you'll become a fucking great speaker, I promise you. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, I think that's actually a good time to leave it there. Yes, master the basics. Maybe we'll put that on a t-shirt or something. But hopefully this makes sense. Again, today we're just talking about how to express yourself more confidently. Do this, think about it in steps. And even if you only can say like, I like candy, or I like this, or I, whatever that basic sentence is, practice using that, get lots of examples of that until you feel really confident, then start adding more information to that. I really like candy from this store. All right, so you get more examples, and you will notice that as you pay attention for like kids speaking English versus elementary school or high school or parents or whatever. But listen to that. Focus on the situation. What are people saying in different situations, and you will feel more confident about that. All right, how do I read faster? Is there any technique? Says Robert. I think, yeah, there are. I don't focus on that, but there are. You can just watch YouTube videos about how to read faster. There are certain techniques, I suppose, for that. But for most people, I would not worry about trying to read faster. If you're trying to get fluent, if that's a goal of yours. If you don't care about fluency and you just want to read faster, then don't watch this video. Go watch a video about reading quickly. But in general, like trying to get more information, I would rather read a book slowly and really understand the information in that book than just to try to get through it faster. So it just depends on your goal. Let's see, Ranjit says, good morning. Today I am watching the T20 cricket match between Netherlands and Sri Lanka. So wish all the best for Sri Lanka. Enjoy the game. All right, using shut and hit at the same time is accurate or precise. Using shut and hit. Well, again, like when we talk about using vocabulary accurately, vocabulary can change, or the meaning of words can change in different situations. So if I shut something, like it's open, and then I close that thing, like shut and close would be more similar words rather than like shut and hit, because they don't, you could hit a door, but you don't actually close the door. So it depends on the situation, if that's what you're asking about. Greetings from Brazil. And then Hong says, thanks again, my teacher. I hope you have a wonderful day. That's great. Well, thank you again. Like that's perfect English right there. Thanks a lot again. I would just put like a comma there, my teacher, before my teacher. I hope you have a wonderful day. That's a good way to end the video. So have a fantastic day, everyone. I hope you have improved with this video. Remember, you don't need to find someone to practice speaking with. The thing that's going to get you fluent as fast as possible, as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, is getting lots of examples of the things that you struggle with. So whatever that is, if you have doubts about something, clear the doubt, destroy the doubt, and then you will start speaking. It's really that simple. All right, have a fantastic day. Click on the like button if you would like to like the video, if you have enjoyed it, and also click on the links in the description below this video, and we'll see you in the next video. She is on the table. She is on the table. she is on the table. No one is on the table over here. Oh, no, we got one last question here. One of the things I struggle the most with phrasal verbs. How do you memorize all the phrasal verbs? Search phrasal verbs on my channel, and you'll learn more about that. Also, the visual guide to phrasal verbs is included in Fluent for Life. If you have any questions about that program, click on the link in the description or send us a mail at info@englishanyone.com. But if there's anything stopping you from joining, I'd love to hear it, because it gets you fluent guaranteed. All right, have a fantastic day. Get Frederick as well. Click on the link in the description below this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.